Welcome to Unit 4. We're looking at linear equations, which are equations that can be used to graph a line. Get it? Line, linear, linear equations. Alright, so the first thing we're going to look at in 4.1 I already am not okay with that. Why does it always start white? 4.1, right, is slope. Slopes on a ski. When you ski down the slope, the sharper the slope, the more dangerous the ski mountain is, right? So, it's also called rate of change, which is a ratio that shows how one variable changes with respect to another. Changes with respect to another. Alright, so we've been playing with functions, x and y values, right? You input the x, you get a y output, right? Rate of change is what happens. If you input the x, what's going to happen to it to get the y, right? What's your change? Right? You're going to go up 4, you're going to go down 3, you're going to multiply it by 2. It's your rate of change, right? On a linear graph, line, straight line, right? This is called the slope of the line. Slope, right? How steep it is. Slope is about steepness, right? This is a positive slope. It's going uphill, right? Imagine you're a little man on a skateboard with your wheels. You're going uphill. This is a positive slope, right? And if it was steeper, if your line was like this, it's steeper. Slope is about steepness. Steepness. How steep is your incline or decline? Right? Slope is written as a ratio, right, of the vertical change, right, the change in your y-axis, which is also called your rise. You're moving up and down the y-axis. It's called your rise. To the horizontal change on your x-axis, right? So the vertical change is your y, the horizontal is your x, and the horizontal change is your run. You might have heard this called as your rise over run, right? Between any 2 points on the line. So, to get from, sorry little skateboard man, he wasn't that great to begin with. Alright, so to get from this point, how many did you have to rise and how many did you have to run to get from that point to that point? Rise over run. Rise over run. How many did you have to go up or down, and how many did you have to go left or right? That's your rise over run. This remains constant for any 2 points on the same line. If it is a straight line, then the distance between this point and this point is the same as the distance from this point to this point. It's constant. Slope is written as a fraction in simplest form. Simplest form. What is simplest form? All right. So if your rise over run is 4 over 4, if you went up 4 and right 4, this is your slope. But 4 over 4 is 1. Simplify, right? If your slope is 4 over 2, 4 over 2 simplified is 2. Rise over run. Simplify. So fraction, simplify. Your answer may still be a fraction, just make sure it's a simplified fraction. Alright, the variable for slope is m. When they talk about slope, when they talk about your rise over your run, they're going to use the letter M. Don't ask why. Just accept, absorb, and move on. All right, so there are 4 different types of slope, right? And we already talked about one. That's your positive slope. Your little man is on his little skateboard. He's going uphill. That's positive. All right, what about if it's going downhill? Your little man is on his skateboard. He's going downhill. That's a negative slope. Negative slope. All right, then you have straight left and right. That's straight horizontal. Your little man is on flat ground, right? And that's a 0 slope. It has no uphill or downhill. It's flat ground, right? And then you have the line that's straight vertical. Can your little man ride his skateboard on this? Not without dying, right? Ah, he's gonna die, right? This is called undefined. That's not a slope, that's an impossible wall. That's not a slope. There's no uphill or downhill there. It's just straight death. All right, 4 types of slope. Uphill, downhill, 0, undefined. Positive, negative, 0, undefined. 0 is flat. Undefined is impossible. All right, so let's find it if we have slope on the graph. All right, remember it's your rise over your run, also known as the change. That's the delta symbol for change. Your change in your y over the change in your x. Rise over run, yx. Right? So pick a point. It doesn't matter which point. Count how many it takes to get to the next point. You're going to count your up and down because that goes on top. That's your y. How many spaces does it change on the y-axis? And then you're going to count your run because that's how many spaces it changes on the x-axis. Right? And that goes on the bottom. So how many does it change on the y? It goes up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It goes up 7. So it goes up 7, so it's a positive 7. And on the run, how many does it change on the x? 1, 2, 3, 4. It goes positive 4 to the right. So your slope is 7 over 4. Now I told you you could pick either point, and you can. You just have to remember that the y, the change in y, the rise goes on top. Right? So if you wanted to go from this point to this point, your rise, how many did we go from here to here to go on the y-axis? We went down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We went down 7. And then how many did we go from here to here on our x-axis? 1, 2, 3, 4. We went left 4, down 7, left 4, which is the same thing. A negative divided by a negative is a positive. You can go either direction from any point to any point, and you should end up with the same exact answer. All right, let's prove it. Just looking at this one, we already know the answer. Right? This is your x-axis. This is your y-axis. This is your slope. It's a flat line. It's 0. So your slope is 0. 0 slope. All right. This one, it's going downhill, so it's a negative slope. Quick note, this is a positive slope. It's going uphill. That means your answer is going to be positive. Positive slope, answer is positive. positive answer here means that your slope is going to be positive. There's a connection, right? So if this one is going downhill, that means you know your answer is going to be negative because your slope is negative, right? So let's start by putting m, because that's slope. We know it's going to be negative. We don't even have to think about it. That's a negative slope. It's going to have a negative slope, right? And then pick our points. They give us our points, but we can also put points anywhere there's a four-way intersection. So we can use the points they gave us, or we can create our own points. Anywhere there's a four-way intersection. So we had to go down 1, right 3. Down 1, right 3. What if I didn't use those points? What if I didn't use those points? What if I used the points it gave me? Right? Then we had to go down 1, 2, 3. So we had to go down 3. We had to go right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We had to go right 9. Right? This simplified is this. No matter what 2 points you use, as long as they're on a four-way intersection, you will get the same exact slope. You might have to simplify it, but you'll get the same slope. Right? So m over 7/4. Slope is negative 1 over 3. Slope is 0. And then, of course, slope is undefined, right? Straight up and down, straight vertical, not allowed. Can't be done. It's a good way to die, to try to ride a skateboard down that slope. Because you're just going to fall, free fall, and smack into the ground. Yeah. All right. Now you've seen the 4 different examples. I'll work the even, you work the odd. All right? Just by looking at it, you can tell me this is a negative slope, so you know your slope is going to be negative. Let's go ahead and get that out of the way. You know your answer has to be negative. And then count. I went down 1, 2, 3, and over 1. Down 3, right 1. That means my slope, if I simplify negative 3 over 1, that's just negative 3. Slope is negative 3. Again, negative slope. So m has to be negative. And then we went down 1, 2, 3, 4. We went down 4 and right 1, 2, 3, 4. Simplified, slope is negative 1. Negative slope again. Why do I get all the negative slopes? I wonder if that means you get all the positive slopes. I don't think that's true. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We went down 5 and right 1. Negative 5 over 1 is negative 5. I got a positive slope. It means my answer is going to be positive. M equals 1, 2 over 1, 2, 3. And 2 over 3 cannot be simplified. So that's your answer. Your slope is 2 over 3. Rise over run. Negative slope. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. Simplify it. Negative 1/2. How do you simplify a fraction? You divide the numerator and the denominator by their greatest common factor. The greatest common factor in this case is 2. So I divide the top by 2, divide the bottom by 2, and this is what I end up with. So to simplify a fraction, you divide the numerator and the denominator by their greatest common factor. Alright, last one. Straight left and right, straight horizontal, flat, level, right, zero slope, m equals 0. Zero slope. No uphill, no downhill. Alright, now your job is to do the even ones starting at 5. 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, and 15. Good luck.